Hey everyone, this is Jenny with Absolutely Handmade. You know what today is. It's IOD release day. Let's jump into it. First, you're going to see Chanticleer, which is a mirrored chicken. Then Leonidas. Isn't he amazing? And he's one of the deep ones too. Then you're going to see the unicorns. These are pretty cool. Next is heraldry. It's got the wings. It's got the heart that fits inside. And you guys, the waltz. We've all been waiting for the waltz forever. Next is folk story. Kind of a cool background stamp. Next would be the Flora and Vine. It's got a swag included, which is really pretty. This one is from Mercy House. We've teamed up with them in order to produce this stamp. Guys, I'm going to butcher the name. Moving on. This is Emporium. Emporium is awesome. Love all of these different, look at that script. This kind of gives me the Haunted Mansion vibes. And I love the typography. Who doesn't love typography? And the gold, guys, is so pretty. Next is Home Sweet Home. This one has some really cool farmhouse labels and signage. Look at the rooster. Isn't he cute? Love that one. This is Sarah Featon's Botanicals. This is based off of Sarah Featon's drawings from years ago. They've got kind of a watercolor feel to them. They're really pretty. Kind of a sketch. Anyways, next is Menagerie. Menagerie has fruits. It's got limbs. It's got vines. It's got birds. It's got the bird cages. It's got it all. You guys can layer these up. You can leave it with that negative space. Isn't that pretty? All those colors. Perfect for summer. This is Saint Germain. This one has gorgeous pinks and reds. Got some purples and blues mixed in. Love the oranges and the butterflies. The first paint inlay of this series is called Ditzy Bloom. This is based off of like vintage wallpaper. It's got a really pretty classic feel to it. And of course, you guys know, yes, these guys run. Seems like they're expensive, but honestly, you can get 2 to 3 uses out of each page. There's 8 pages. So you're looking anywhere from 16 to 24 options. Love that Bose wallpaper. You're going to see that used here in a little bit. And this one is my absolute favorite of the entire collection. This is Florography. Florography. It's got labels. It's got ephemera. It's got typography. It's got, I love the botanicals. They're so pretty. And this is all in that, what the sisters call noir. So it's kind of a brownish black color. It's not completely black. It's actually a lot like the color from Melange, if y'all remember Melange from years ago. Now we're going to do some casting resin. That was part A and part B. And we're just doing a mass amount of castings. I wanted to show you guys kind of my process. These are all different molds that I was considering using for this release. Either that or I just wanted to test them out. Sometimes I like to have them actually molded just so I can see all the details, because you can sit and look at the molds all day long, but until you actually pop those, guys, look at that one. It was turning white before I even got it poured. This amazing resin, you have to mix it for 60 seconds, and you have to make sure you mix it for 60 seconds. I made the mistake of not doing it long enough, and it didn't work. It made a huge mess. But the minute you start pouring, like, especially here in Phoenix, because we don't have any humidity in the air whatsoever, at least not this time of year. We're not quite to monsoon season yet, but it takes minutes for these things to turn white. And once it starts turning white, you're kind of done. There's not a lot else you can do with it. I do highly recommend this casting resin. It's amazing. just because I like to pour and move on. Like, I craft most of these crafts you guys are seeing today. Now, the castings I did a couple nights ago, and the actual crafts themselves, I think I crafted for 10 or 12 hours yesterday. I just kind of got on a kick. I got inspired, and I sat down and knocked it out. It's also allergy season in Phoenix. Since it's not monsoon season, the plants are all blooming. So I'm clearing my throat a lot, and my apologies now. There's all the ones that was kind of decided I might play with. Now this little, it's like a cutlery container. I thought we're going to start with something super simple, because I know some people want to be crafty, but either don't have the time or think they don't have the abilities. And I just wanted to show you how absolutely simple something can be. I think I got this little cutlery caddy for $2 or $3 at Desiree Industries. And you literally just rub it on. Like, it's so easy. You do have to finish it with something. I chose to use wax, and my brush did kind of ate away at the graphic a little bit, which I actually liked. It distressed it for me. Then moving on, we're going to do this little rolling pin. Again, I think I picked this up at Desiree Industries as well. They're one of my favorite places to shop. I usually get rolling pins for about $2.50, $3.50 a piece. This is Fusion's Victorian Lace is what I put on for the white. The handles are DIY Aviary. As you can see here, we're going to use that for the stamp too. Now, guys, I made a mess of this stamp. I don't know what I was thinking. I put too much paint down. Y'all didn't see that, but I scooped a lot of it back into the container. Then I started rolling it on this Folk Story stamp, which I love. I didn't think I liked it when I first saw it, and then I got it in my hands, and it's beautiful. And then I decided I was going to roll the rolling pin. Seems simple enough, right? Well, I let the paint sit for too long, or I didn't press on it enough. I'm not sure which, and nothing really transferred. So, thank goodness Fusion has a top coat built in. So it was already sealed. All I had to do was wipe it back off. And I don't know if you caught it right there, but when I went to lift the brayer off, the paint had like melted the paper plate and made a huge mess. So I had to clean that up. Got a new paper plate, started over. Less paint this time. But you do want that stamp to be wet when you're doing this. Now, ideally, I'd rather use the IOD ink. If I'd had a green option that matched the aviary, I would have gone with it. I prefer the IOD ink to anything. Second option would be archival ink. Third is to use a paint. But you can kind of see here the paint, especially the DIY paint, because it's clay-based, it dries super fast. And I'm talking seconds when it's this thin of a paint run. You guys, I rolled it back. It turned out okay. It didn't exactly transfer as well as I'd hoped, and there was a little bit of like a ghosting type look to it. But for the look we're going for, it worked. Now, this was a sealer I made with Fusion's matte finish, half and half with water. I wanted something I could spray on that was going to leave it clear, and then I went back with this brown wax because I wanted to age it. But I wanted that sealer first because I wanted the white to stay pretty white. I didn't want it to change a whole lot of colors on me. So I thought, well, maybe if I seal it in first. And I didn't want to paint over the DIY paint because I was afraid it would smear. So I mixed that matte sealer half and half with water and sprayed it on and then dried it. And it worked. All right, so here's something I picked up from St. Vincent de Paul's for $2. That's me showing you the sample of the Sweet Pickins Bespoke line from JB Ray. This is the color Kent. And for their milk paint, you do equal parts paint and equal parts water. So in this case, I did 2 and 2. And you want to mix this up and stir it for about 2 minutes. And then let it sit for up to about 10, depending on how thick you want it to be. Now, I'm mixing this paint first before I ever give it over to touch the little caddy because I need it to set. I need it to thicken. I need it to do its thing. So here we are mixing. I'm not going to show you the full 2 minutes, but I did mix it for 2 minutes. And this is my first time ever using Dark and Decrepit from DIY, the liquid patina, and I absolutely love it. Look at that tone of brown. It doesn't have a whole lot of red in it. It soaked right into the wood, and it has a built-in top coat. So now what I wanted to do was put the Kent on top of it. I'm not looking for full coverage. I mean, I'm going to cover it pretty good, but I'm not looking to cover every inch of this box because we are ultimately going to end up sanding it, because I want a lot of that. You can see right there, I've sanded it. I wanted a lot of that paint down in the crevices, and I wanted the high points of the wood to basically come back off to leave this tough distressed look to it. Then we're going to pop open the St. Germain's transfer, and I loved these flowers down here with that Kent. It really was pretty, kind of popped off really well. And at first I thought, well, I'll just transfer the whole thing on. And then as I was looking, I was like, it's a little bit taller, so we need that butterfly to go up just a little bit more. So that placement worked out a lot better. This transfer is beautiful. It's got a very realistic but illustrated looking sketch to it. I don't even know how to explain it. I love the way the sisters do the florals. They always look, so realistic, but they also have like a classic look to them too. So y'all can see rubbing these transfers onto that that milk paint, easy peasy. Like it goes on like butter. It's awesome. And rub the whole thing on, and then when you get done, you go back and take the carrier sheet and you burnish it. You want to rub it pretty good, make sure it's all down really well. And this is where we go back and add that butterfly. I wanted him a little higher than where he was on the paper. The color of that butterfly was really pretty on this Kent too. Yellow and brown really popped off. Okay, so then this is where I was like, probably need something on the back too, because it's going to look kind of barren. So pop the St. Germain back out so I can find something that kind of coordinates with what I've already done. And I ended up finding two more that I really liked, and I wanted to kind of show y'all how you can layer them. The transfers are pretty cool because you can layer, you can distress, you can put them on just about any kind of surface. I've put them on plastic, I've put them on glass. And when you start counting out how many of these transfers are in each packet, they come out to be somewhere around about $1 a piece, sometimes less. Just depends on if it's one that has a lot of the bigger. This one's really cool because it has a ton of it's got a ton of bigger ones, but it also has a lot of mediums and smalls too. So you can kind of pick and choose and layer, and they all kind of are on the same color palette, so you can layer them together if you want to. And that was me. I found like one little spot in the paint where it wanted to chip, but it hadn't chipped yet. So I just went ahead and kind of encouraged that to happen so it wouldn't do it while I was trying to do the rub on. This is me putting I'm starting off with the one in the corner, and I was like, I kind of want something to kind of flow across this side of it. And I didn't really want to do another butterfly. I did want to show you guys how you could layer. So I was like, okay, we're going to put this one on first, wipe it down, burnish it. Now I want to overlay some of the second transfer onto that vine from the first transfer. So it kind of looks like it all flows together. And you guys, I'm not any kind of I know nothing about flowers, so I have no idea what these flowers are or if they would look like this naturally. But they look pretty together. The colors went well together, so I thought that worked out really nice. And the yellows and the oranges and those pinks and reds all popped really well off the Kent paint. I love that Sweet Pickins paint. That stuff is amazing. And I know y'all can't, obviously you can't feel it, but it feels like silk right here. It's such a soft, like after I sanded it with the 220 sandpaper, it felt like butter. It was amazing. So I wiped it all down again. Now, all those places where I had used the dark and decrepit on the inside too, so it's sealed. We're not going to touch it. But I really wanted the outside of it to go back to being dark around those edges where I'd sanded it and it lightened up. So first, because you have to seal Sweet Pickins paint, the milk paint has to be sealed. We're putting on the clear first because I don't want to change the color of the Kent bespoke paint. I want it to stay that really pretty blue. But I wanted those edges, I wanted the spots where the wood was showing, I wanted all of that to be dark, similar to the dark and decrepit. So I went back and put the Jolie brown wax back over the top of it. And you can see it really richens that color of the milk paint. And then it also darkens anything that went back to like a lighter color. So this is just like a creator's secret, I guess. Not really a secret. I've seen this done on Ginger Chick Rehab with Yvonne. But if you use the clear, it kind of erases some of that dark, and I wanted to take some of that back off. But okay, so on to the next project. You'll see what that one ended up looking like in the reveal. But this one is a shield that I cut out with my laser cutter. I've been trying to come up with different shapes and frames and things like that to have for you guys to use. And these are all in my Etsy shop, so you can get on there and kind of peruse and see what you see. But I'm using the Paint Couture pitch black paint, and I tend to try and use a little bit of water because the Paint Couture paint is super thick. If you haven't seen the video of us comparing Paint Couture and Fusion, go back into the channel and find that video because it was full of information. We actually compared to see durability wise how they both panned out. And the Paint Couture is exactly like Fusion. It's just only rated for indoor paint. It still has a top coat and a primer, and it's super opaque. You guys can see that lion that I painted. It's one coat. So it goes on, it stays on, and it covers really well. Now here, I was being super picky with my transfer, guys. I'm super frugal. I didn't want to risk using the whole transfer when I only needed a little band that was going to be showing. So you can see I just like sketched out the inside of the shield. Then I sketched out where the plaque's going to be on the inside of that. Now I'm cutting this out, and it's going to leave me with like a chunk in the middle that I can use for something else later on. And that was what I was trying to do because I'm frugal. And I like to, like you guys, I have all the IOD stuff, and I have the Fusion, and I have the Paint Couture, but I have all of that. And I'm also really picky about using my supplies. Like if I have paint, I'm going to try and get as much of it back in the container as I can if I'm done, that kind of thing. So here you'll see I'm trying to use this transfer. This one kind of gives me like Haunted Mansion vibes from down at Disney, which is one of my favorite places to visit. But this one's got, it almost looks like the little chandeliers and the wallpaper and stuff they have there. It's a really pretty transfer. And I don't know if you guys have tried these gilded transfers before. I really struggled with the first one or two that they came out with. It seemed like a lot of the background would come off too. And these, I don't know if they've changed something or what's going on, but I had none of the background transfer. Like it was only the design itself. And then here you'll see me using the Paint Couture Antique Gold Luxe paint. It's actually got like shimmery, I guess it's got a little bit of metal or something in it because it actually has more of a metallic shine. And then we're going to dry brush over Leonidas because I really wanted his features to pop. I'm kind of a dork when it comes to lions. I think they're really amazing animals. I don't know about you guys, and you can comment down below, but we like to watch like the zoo shows, stuff like that. I just think animals are really amazing. So anyways, here we're using Vintage Pink from DIY Cottage line. This is the Jamie Ray Vintage Cottage paint. It has a top coat built in, which is what It's going to simplify this process on this particular craft. I did have to use 3 coats to kind of get the coverage I was looking for. This is the Fusion top coat in matte. We're going to use that. I prefer to use top coat with my paint inlays. If you aren't super familiar with paint inlays, pop back into the channel. I did like a 2-minute short on the specifics on how to do these. But you're kind of seeing it here in a little bit faster mode. We're putting the top coat on, and you want to put plenty of it on. Don't go sparse on the top coat. And then I even spritz the top coat with water because you really need it to be wet. And then I also spritz the inlay with water. You want everything to be super damp when it goes down. That's going to help make that contact that you need. And then you'll see here I spray. Make sure it's nice and damp. I got my brayer out and I smash it real good to make sure it's making really good contact with that round. And this round is another something I've cut on my laser engraver. It'll be in the Etsy store as well. You guys, leave me a comment. What do you think about this vintage wallpaper looking inlay? I think it's beautiful. I love the bows. I love the color and the flowers. It's just so pretty. Now I'm soaking that backing really well after it's completely dried. This is real time, peeling this back. Okay. Most of the video y'all are watching, it's in like 2 or more times as fast as I recorded, just for time's sake. And honestly, I still blew my time limit by a lot. I'm at 45 minutes this week, and usually I try and stay around 30. But there was so much going on this week, and I was so inspired by this new release. Look at that. Very little, like oopsies, I guess is the best way to word it. There's very little paint that didn't make contact. Look how perfect that came out. Now you want to dry it. Don't touch it. Dry it first because it is wet. It is paint. And if you touch it, it's going to smear. So make sure that you're letting it completely dry before you do anything else. Now we're going back to that sealer that I made, the Fusion Matte, half and half. And I'm going to spritz it on. I don't want to touch this. I don't want to use a brush on it. I don't want to do anything with it. I want it to be completely, I want the sealer to be sprayed. And then I also skipped over it, but I used the heat dryer, again, the heat gun, to take care of that. Now that blue is the Kent from earlier, and I kind of struggled with it because the paint had dried up a little bit and I was trying to reconstitute it. This color here is from Couture, and it is Kale Sprout, and that's acrylic. Now, I'm bringing out the Unicorn, the simple white chalk paint, because the chalk paint's got a little grab to it, and I needed a base coat on this Unicorn. We're going to give him one good base coat of white. Yes, he's a white unicorn, so I probably could have skipped this step, but I was also going to go back and do his mane and his tail and his feet, and I thought, you know, if I just put one coat of something on there, it's going to help all of that stick a little bit better. So, one coat of Simply White it is. Then we're going to go back in with the Antique Gold Luxe. We're going to paint the bow tails, the bow itself, and those what are going to end up becoming carousel rods. Now that paint, I couldn't believe how well it matched. It was Caribbean Coral acrylic. And it's almost the exact same pinky orange, and those flowers, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful color. It's very bright and bold, and I was going for fun. Is that not a fun unicorn or what? He's had his little eye dotted, so he's even got the eye in there. Now, I went and grabbed my black wax, and I put on clear wax first. Then I put on the black wax. I really wanted you to see the details in this unicorn because I just wasn't feeling like you were getting the whole picture with just the white paint. So I put the black on there, wiped it on. Now we've got some smudges like around his knees, down his chest. You can see all the detail on the hair a little bit better. I put a little bit on the bows, and I probably could have skipped that because it didn't accomplish a whole lot because the bows have got a sealer built into them. So it just kind of went on and came off and didn't do a whole lot. So now we're going back to put the whole thing together. We're going to assemble it. And I don't know what was going on this time, guys, with my Loctite professional super glue. I never have a problem with this stuff. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the lack of humidity or maybe I just wasn't moving the glue fast enough or what the deal was, but you'll see several projects. Yep, they just kept coming back apart. I was like, what in the world? And I know I should probably get some CA glue. Actually, I have CA glue, but the accelerant kind of makes me nervous with my paint. I'm always afraid it'll discolor it or do something weird to it. So I try and use that just on like bare wood. But this one, maybe I'm just not patient enough. You see, I just kind of, once I leaned on it, and again, this is sped up ×2. Once I leaned on it, it finally stuck. I had to go back and kind of cram glue in some gaps here and there because it still wasn't stuck enough, but it stuck. So now we're lining up the unicorn, and I was trying to make sure that I kept the bows straight on the wallpaper. I didn't want anything to end up funky. I don't mind if the unicorn's kind of tilted one way or the other because if you ride, carousels, the horses sometimes are kind of tilted. For the rider's comfort, probably, but I thought it looked kind of true to form, I guess is the best way to word it. So here I'm just using my airplane tin snips, and I'm clipping those castings down so that they fit perfectly inside the circle. This is 11 3/4 inch circle on the exterior. It's about 9-ish on the inside. And we're going to line that bow up around, just kind of setting everything up where I wanted it. And then, guys, I struggle with the glue again. No clue why my glue was giving me such an issue this week. And I cannot for the life of me find my quick and thick, whichever way it goes. I don't know where it went. I'm going to pick some more up tomorrow. I want to run errands, but this professional Loctite normally is my go-to. It normally sticks the minute you touch it down, and nope. This one kept shifting on me like crazy. And of course, the top one shifted all over the place, and I got it straight. The bottom one, I got to lay it on, and it's somewhat crooked. And what happens? It glued instantly. So my OCD is a little annoyed because I can see that it's crooked. You can see I was kind of pushing on it and just praying it would kind of pop to the side just a little bit, and it just was not. So here we are. Bottom stick's a little crooked. That's okay. Again, from Yvonne from Ginger Chick Rehab, it's perfectly imperfect, and I don't mind it. So I had to tell my OCD to shut itself down, and we're just going to roll with it because honestly, I think this belongs in like a little kid's room anyways. A little girl's room would be really pretty, and a little girl's not going to care if the stick is off by a millimeter to the left. It's just going to drive me crazy from now on, so that's okay. And we're sticking down the bow with the Loctite again. And again, I don't want to tell anybody not to buy this glue because normally it's amazing. I have no idea why it was fighting me so bad today. And I will make sure I have my quick and thick for next week's. Moving on. Okay, so I got this little cutting board from Desiree Industries. It's $3. That's me using the heat gun. I sped this up a lot because I don't want to waste a lot of time, but I did want to show y'all, and I have a tutorial for this too. Hand sanitizer. Guys, it's like your best friend when it comes to these stickers. You just squirt it on. You can feel the gooey stuff kind of rolling up underneath your finger. And then, you know me, I like my Walmart water wipes. Just grabbed a water wipe and wiped it all down. Here we are with the dark and decrepit again because this is dry, orangey colored wood, and the orange color was driving me crazy. And I was like, I wonder if this dark and decrepit is going to accentuate the orange or if it's going to do well with coating it. And you can see from the video, it did a great job of covering it up. You really don't see the orange anymore. I loved it. So another cottage color with the built-in top coat. This is Americana, and you do really need to stir those because the top coat kind of settles into the paint and it doesn't work as well if you don't. I shook it. It wasn't enough, so I stirred it. You can see it actually changes colors right before your eyes with the heat gun. I ended up putting 3 coats on this one to get the opacity I was looking for. Isn't that beautiful? And then took it outside and sanded it, right? Because that's what you do when you get it completely covered. You go sand it all back off. But I was going for like a really cool vintage, I don't know how to explain it, cottage core. Really in right now. Thought that'd be kind of a cool way to go about it. The Emporium transfer is coming out again, and this was not in the plan. This one was one of those aha moments. I was like, you know, I'm going to put on a Sarah Featon Botanical transfer, and it would look so cool if I had some script behind it. And I went back and forth on whether or not I wanted to just do a white stamp with kindest regards, or really wanted the gold. I think the gold really popped on this wood. And behind the Botanical, it really, really added a ton to this little cutting board. This one's headed for my booth at Brass Armadillo in Goodyear, Arizona. Maybe. I may have to keep it. I don't know. I really like it. It turned out a lot better than I expected it to. So kind of burnishing it on there. Now we're going back in. I'd already chosen this little Botanical earlier, so I knew what I was headed for. Guys, always double check and make sure you're not cutting through multiple pages. I can't count how many times I've almost done that. Save your transfers. Now we're going to layer it. You can layer on top of those gilded transfers as well. Not a problem. I move all the junk out of the way. I can't stand having stuff in my way when I'm trying to craft. It makes it really hard for me to focus. Do you have trouble when it gets really clustered in your space crafting? Leave me a comment below if you just really struggle with that. I actually had intended on doing a lot of this crafting stuff a day or two earlier, and we've had guests, we've been out of town, we had a graduation, we had Mother's Day, I've been sick, my son moved, like it's just been so busy. And my kitchen, where this bar counter is, it's like an 8 foot by 10 foot bar, was coated in junk. And I was just like, I cannot be creative in this space with it looking like this. So I had to take a day or two to kind of clean up my house first before I could get back to work. But yeah, look guys, isn't it pretty? Love the transfers. Love the Sarah Featon transfers. Now we're going back over this, kind of the same concept as that little tote. I wanted to put that brown Jolie wax on top because I wanted those spaces that ended up being a very light color or went back to that orangey color. I wanted them darker. And you also need to seal your transfers. So why not kill 2 birds with 1 stone? We used the brown wax, rubbed it in and buffed it really well. Oh my gosh, y'all, I'm cleaning my space as we're speaking here. Buffed it in really well with a shop towel. I love those shop towels, especially for wax. You'll get to see the finale of that in the reveal as well. Another frame with the pitch black that I made with my laser engraver. And again, it's in the Etsy shop. I don't know if you notice it or not, but there's a couple of spots that are kind of wonky on it. I'm going to fix those before I start cutting any more for anyone else. But it's a new file. It was new for me, so I don't mind. I can fix it. I'm spraying some water on that pitch black because, again, the pitch black to me, well, the paint Couture in general is really good thick paint, and it just makes it a lot easier to spread if you add a little water. So here we are. I wanted to at least demonstrate once how to add the ink to the ink pad. This is Mixing White from IOD. And guys, if you go back in the videos, go back and watch my disaster with the white ink a couple months ago. Never again will I use anything but IOD white ink, for sure. Honestly, I'd rather use IOD ink, period. Archival ink's not bad. It works pretty well. I haven't had it smear. It dries. It seems to hold up well. But IOD is far superior when it comes to ink than any other company I've found so far. So fingers crossed, we've requested some more colors from them moving forward, and we're hoping that they will satisfy some of those requests in the coming releases. Okay, so we're going to pop that. This is the waltz stamp. I did go through and prep it with a sanding sponge. This is my little hockey puck that I love that smashes it on there. That way you don't miss anything. If you use your fingers, there's a chance you're going to miss something. So I highly recommend that little puck. It's got like felt on the bottom, so it just glides across the stamp. Just testing to make sure I didn't need to stamp anything on either one of the sides. I was pretty sure that that frame was going to cover it. And guys, clean your stamps. I cannot stress how important it is to clean up your stamps. You want to be able to use those in the following crafts that you've got going on and not have your inks get transferred. So here we're using red velvet for the first frame, back to the gold, the antique gold luxe for the top frame. I wanted it to look like a framed piece of art, similar to like a picture frame, just a regular old picture frame. That gold luxe only takes like 1.5 coats. All right, back to the pitch black. I'm going to have to order some more of this because, as you can see, I'm kind of scooping the bottom of it. I wanted to paint these wings black first. You'll see in a few minutes, we're going to kind of dry brush that gold on top of them, and they look amazing. Paint, 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 paint. One coat. That's all I put on the black. I did not put extra anywhere else. Here we're doing the gold luxe, antique gold luxe on the outside of the heart. And I got inspired. This is going to kind of date me as far as age. But the rock bands that were out when I was a kid, which I watched on MTV, which also dates me. A lot of them had those like hearts and the wings, and there were lots of allusions to the hearts and the wings and things like that, with the little fire bolts and all of those kinds of things. So when I saw this mold, and actually when I created the molds, because I wanted to go ahead and make them to see them better, because I really wasn't super inspired when I first saw them. And then when I actually did the molds and popped them out, I was like, oh, this is where we're going with this. And that heart, you may be able to see it in the final reveal. That heart has got like a ton of little crevices and divots and things like that. That is Van Dyke brown. You guys have seen me add red to the little, there's like 5 little roses on that crown. I wanted Van Dyke brown on the lower part of the crown. Sorry, the whole crown. I put it on the whole crown. I wanted to age that crown some so that you could see more of those details. And you can see how cool the wings turned out too. You're going to see those a lot better here in just a minute. And that heart, we're going to go in and do the same paint couture, Van Dyke brown. Oh, I did it on the top part. That's what it was. I was like, I know I did just a piece of something. The top part, I wanted it to be a little bit more detailed because it's like a flame. It's really cool. And I ended up adding the Van Dyke brown to the red part of the heart too. Here we go with the Loctite glue again, guys. I don't know. We'll see. This frame is 14.5 inches wide by 10.25 inches tall. The interior part of it, I think it ended up being like just shy of 9 by like 10 or 11, maybe a little bit wider. Guys, I don't know what's going on. Why is my glue not working? Probably because I'm not patient. Did y'all see how fast I lifted that thing up? I don't think I set it on there long enough. I think I'm just an impatient crafter. Sometimes these longer processes, that's me creaming glue into an area that still wasn't sticking. I was just really flustered with the glue that day. We were about to have words. Here we go again. Now, it may be the paint. Maybe it's because I put the paint on there. I'm still like scratching my head over why. Typically, I try and leave some raw wood showing. And this wood is birch. It's a really nice, if you choose to stain it, it's got a really pretty wood grain to it. And it's pure bond wood, so I don't use the cheaper plywood. I use a really nice pure bond so that you get a really good clean cut and you end up with the really pretty wood grains. Plus it's safer for me technically to be cutting it. It doesn't emit quite as much nasty gas for me to breathe in. Not that I breathe a lot of it in, it's out in my garage. So if y'all do order those from my Etsy shop, please say a little prayer for me because we're starting to reach 100 degrees here in Phoenix, and in the next couple of weeks it's going to easily be between 100 and 110 until July, when it goes up to about 120. So if you order those frames from me, I will be at least out setting up the machine in 110 degree heat very soon. Guys, order. I'm not worried about the heat. We're used to it at this point, but it's just funny to say it because we still have properties in Tennessee, and I'm like, oh, it's 90 in Tennessee. Isn't that lovely? But of course, then again, the humidity in Tennessee is like, it'll be closer to 80 to 90% when here, we're sweating and think we're dying at 30 or 40%. So it's an extreme difference, y'all. The dry heat is a real thing. All right, so y'all are watching me kind of lay this all out. I'm using Gorilla Glue as kind of an extra help since that Loctite is misbehaving so badly for me today. And again, it could just be I wasn't being patient. Maybe it's not the Loctite's fault. Maybe I shouldn't blame it. All right, so we're whipping the Van Dyke Brown out again. Here we go. I knew I added it to the heart, but I wasn't sure if I added it before or after. Added that in the middle just to I kept seeing those details in the heart, and I was like, you're really not seeing those with just that red paint on there. So I added that glaze over it in the hopes that you'd be able to see more. Okay, so here's the final reveal for everything. There is that gorgeous cutting board. Love the gold. That gold script really just made that. I really like this. I have to say I really like it. It's not my normal taste, so it's not my favorite thing, but I think it's very pretty. What are your thoughts? Do you guys like this carousel horse that we made with the unicorn? Leave me a comment below. Oh my goodness. Leonidas is amazing. And that Emporium gilded transfer just made it even better. Love it. Look at all the details on that lion, guys. He is awesome. The sisters did good with that one. Here's that rolling pin that gave me fits in the Bon Appetit. Just some simple projects. So we did some easier stuff today, and we did some stuff that was a lot more difficult for the more advanced crafters. But you guys, anybody can do this stuff. It's not hard. Pick up a paint